Yo guys, welcome to my build guide for my Death Oath character. In this video I'm going to be going over my character that I use to clear my maps and Scourge maps and Blight maps. This build is a lot of fun for this league and it's pretty quick as well. Alrighty, enough with the intro talk, let's get to my build. So for this part of the video, I'm just going to go over my pros and cons of the build. I'm just going to have some game footage in the background. I was going to do it live, but then you would keep hearing my keyboard clicking and stuff, and a lot of people find that annoying, and I don't blame them, so I'll just do a voiceover instead. So for the pros of this build, it is a pretty quick map clear once you get a little bit of gear. You pretty much just have to shield charge and dash everywhere and then just watch everything blow up. It's pretty fun, and then when you get into really high density scourges, it's like the more monsters there are, the faster that they die. It's pretty cool to watch. When it comes to leveling this build, it was really smooth because I just leveled up as Essence Strain Contagion and then just had Blight on the side for more single target damage. A couple more pros of this build: you do not need a 6-link, but you will need a 6-socketed chest because we're using the aura from Death's Oath, and you just need to put the gems in the chest for it to work. Also, it can do most map mods, not all of them, but most of them. I got quite a bit of defensive layers on this build. He's curse immune, crit immune, and then damage that I take is unlucky with Maven's helmet. I also have +3 to minimum endurance charges. But you'll have to actively move out of stuff. You can't just sit there and tank a lot of stuff with this build. You can take a few hits, but there is the potential of getting one shot as well. For the cons of this build is definitely not a good bosser. I killed Awakener level 4 Cyrus, and it was pretty rough. I got him down, but it took a long time. I'm sure if you had like really good gear, it wouldn't be too much of a problem, but it's just, you need to have time to ramp up damage, and bosses that move around a lot, like Sirius, it's hard to get like lots of Blight stacks up. If you really started juicing maps, which is the way that I ran them, you do have a lot of potential to get one shot with like lots of damage mods and stuff. If you take your time, it's not so bad, but I was like, I want to kill faster, and then I would keep like shield charging into the middle of a pack, and then they'd all slap me at once and kill me. So that can be a con as well. If you're good at taking your time, it's not as bad though. To really get crazy damage with the build, it would be pretty expensive as well. Like a good set of gloves would be 8 to 10 exalts probably. A good wand would be 8 to 10 exalts. And really good jewels would be expensive as well. Like I mentioned before, most map mods you can do. No regen and reduced curse effect is really annoying with this build. Less regen is pretty bad as well in a way, because you do take damage over time from Death's Oath. You take so much chaos damage per second whenever you killed something recently. In order for this build to feel really smooth, you have to get enough damage to pretty much blow stuff up as you run into them. If you don't get to that point, then chances of you getting hit a lot are pretty good, and that's where most of your deaths come from. There's potential to have a hard time gearing because we do use 2 magic rings with this build, so maxing all your resists, including chaos, can be pretty annoying, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And lastly, there's not a whole lot of regen with the build, so a lot of maps with like degen on the ground, especially with less recovery, can be quite annoying. You can still do it, but you're going to be chugging flats like crazy. I know there's a fair bit of cons, but just running through a map and watching everything blow up is like so satisfying. If you get to the point where you don't want to level that much anymore and you don't care about losing EXP when you die, you could really juice up maps, and I think this would be a really good character for it. Alright, with all that being said, let's get into the build and how it works. Alrighty, so for the gemming and gearing portion of this video, I'm going to go over the gear and yeah, how I geared this character out. So this build is based around Death's Oath. It's a chest or chest armor that gives you like a death aura skill that just does damage over time to people around you. So you want to get lots of aura effect and stuff with that. Now all the gems that you socket into this chest will affect that aura. So you want 2 of each color. And I use Void Manip for chaos damage, Swift Affliction, Awakened increased area of effect because it gives you a more multiplier, efficacy, less duration, and life tap. So the way we use life tap with this, because you have to have the buff on you, but since you don't cast the aura that you won't have it on, we use shield charge with faster attacks, and then we just use a level 1 life tap with this. So every time we shield charge, you'll have a life tap, and that buff counts for the one in your chest as well. So you'll always have that buff up, and then that'll give you your damage, more damage while you have life tap. So that's a more multiplier for your chest. So for our helmet, we use Maven's Helmet, Viridia's Veil. This allows us to get our defenses quite a bit, so damaging enemies hits is unlucky against you, which means that it will roll the damage twice, and whatever one's lower is how much damage you'll take. Hexproof if you have a magic ring in the right slot, until no extra damage from crits when you have a ring in the left slot. So our left slot ring is a Iolite ring. Hopefully I said that right. So just get chaos damage. I was just buying these up that had tier 1 life. That were magic, excuse me. And I hit them with an annul if there was a second mod. And then put minimum endurance charges on it. And same with this one. If you're struggling with resist, then you can get one with life and like all res on it. So like if you have like just regular life, then you can go to your crafting bench, throw your ring in there, and I believe that there's an all res craft that you can use. It's like 13% or something, so that'll help you with your res until you can get your gear up high enough. A wand, you just want chaos damage over time multiplier with chaos damage. This one's not the best. I can definitely get better. If you want like a really good one, and you would want chaos damage over time multiplier, damage over time multiplier, and chaos damage. That's all you need. Attack speed's nice because then you can shield charge around faster, but it's not really that big of a deal. Amulet we use in presence with the despair one, so that allows us to run despair and another aura. And despair is like a big part of our damage with this. I forgot to mention with the helmet you want to get Despair Curse effect as well. I think this cost me 1.5x. I had to divine it a bunch of times too to get +2 to level the socket of gems, but I'll go over the gems in a few. Shield, I just got a rare one to help with resist. I like the 1% increased damage per 1% chance to block. It's pretty good. It gives me a little bit of extra damage, but there's definitely better shields than this. It just, you know, kind of fit my build, and I didn't really want to get another one. Boots, you just want movement speed, life, and resist. Definitely better boots than this, but does the job. Belt, you just want something with resist and life, preferably on a Stygian bias. And then I just crafted increased damage on it. And then the Abyssal Jewel I got in it, I just wanted life, resist, and increased damage over time while holding a shield. The Apocryphy gloves, these are the ones that I'm trying to craft. You want to use Essence of Hysteria, I think. That gives Socketed Gems deal 30% more damage over time, and you want this to be Hunter influenced, because you want the more damage over time, and then you want Chaos damage over time multiplier. If you get both of those, then just farm Harvest and get the Harvest crafts that reroll suffix or prefixes, but keep all the suffixes, and then you can get life with that. I rolled these. I'm like, these weren't bad, and the Socketed Gems deal 30% more damage over time. Really helps out your blight dips. And I think that's it for the gear part. My flasks are really bad. I didn't realize how bad they were until I started making this video. But just get a couple life flasks, whatever you like. I like the freeze removal, and then there's a hinder one. I'll get to the hinder part in a second, but I think hinder is kind of important in a way. Like I said, we'll get to there in a second. I got a Quicksilver flask with my freeze immune, even though I got 2 freeze immunes now, but I like this one because it's during flask effect instead of having to use it when frozen or whatever. Granite flask just for more armor. And my bleed removal sulfur flask. I wasn't sure what to use for this one. I was like, I'll just go for more damage. So that's my corrupting blood removal. And then that's just a trinket and then the crucible thing. So for my gem sockets, I think I already went over my chest. For my helmet, this is where we put our curse in. So we use Enfeeble, Blasphemy, and Despair. And the helmet with the +2, and then we use an Enhance. I didn't get a level 4 one yet, but the helmet will put it up to level 6 if you have a level 4 Enhance, which will increase the quality of Despair by a crazy amount. So this right now has 52% quality. I think it goes up to 58 if I had a level 4 Enhance, which increases the damage over time. It'd probably be close to 30%, which is huge because we get a lot of curse effect as well with Despair. That's where a lot of our damage comes from. For my boots, I have Dash, Arcane Surge, so every time you hit Dash, it'll put your Arcane Surge up, which will give you more damage for your Death's Oath, so just make sure you hit that every like 5 or 6 seconds or so. You'll get used to it once it gets into like your muscle memory. I have Awaken Minion damage because I was just leveling up an Awaken Gem to flip for currency. And then Steel Skin, I just have it on my left click, so whenever you move around, it just pops up. Little defensive layer there. I'm sure it's preventing me from dying a few times. And then for my wand, I just have Malevolence. I'm sure there's other things you can put in here, and I have no idea why I have a Portal Gem with the League changes. I got like, I don't know, like 2,000 Portal Scrolls or something. 1,500, so Portal Gems are kind of useless now. I would just put gems in there to level up to flip and sell. So like your Awaken Gems or like something. And then for my gloves, since we have the Socket of Gems deal 30% more damage, this is where we got our Blight set up. So we use Val Blight because when you use Val Blight on a boss, it increases the chaos damage they take by 20%. And then regular Blight's just single target thing and it hinders. We get a big buff from Hinder. Efficacy, just for more damage over time thing. I haven't flipped these yet, I just realized it, but you want to get that to 20%. Because it gives you increased damage over time. Control Destruction, same thing. And then Infused Channeling, so you want to try to Blight enough that you can get the fusion up, and then when you run around with your Death's Aura, it will buff the damage from that as well. Gives more damage, I think. And then, yeah, that's it for that. And then for the jewels that we use a lot of cluster jewels with this build as well. This is where it gets kind of expensive. So we use a large cluster jewel that has Touch of Cruelty and Wicked Paw. Excuse me. So Wicked Paw gives increased chaos damage and skill effect duration. And then where our hinder comes in is chaos skills have 10% chance to hinder on hit. And enemies hindered take 10% increased chaos damage. So that's really good with Blight. It just like really melts like map bosses when they're hindered. Like the one with the archer that like does all the mirror archer things. If you time the hinder right, he will spend forever walking to the next area before he can shoot a clone. And he will just die before he gets there. So we have 2 larges with those 2 nodes. And then for our mediums, we want Brood for Potency and Flow of Life. So Brood for Potency gives us better flask and increased damage over time. And then the other one just gives us damage over time with some life and some life regen. Life regen is pretty important, and we don't get a whole lot of it, so we can kind of like squeeze it out wherever we can. You can either get 4 or 5 socket ones of these. If you get a 5, just don't take this one. And then for minor sockets, I just try to get a resist or something, because you want to try to squeeze out all the little resists that you can to help make gearing better. So the same for this side for the 2 mediums. And then for the smalls, you want to get Misery Everlasting. Make sure you get like a 2 node one. As this will give us 40% increased Despair Curse effect. And then a little bit of curse effect from the minor one as well. So we have 2 of these. And then down here, we have another large cluster. So I've just been going around here. I got another Misery Everlasting. And if I can get 2 more levels out of this guy, I'm going to put 1 more here. Right now, I am just using an Abyss Jewel. So both of these are the same. And then for my Abyss Jewels, I'm trying to get life, resist, and damage over time while holding the shield. Most of these jewels were about 30C. So we get quite a few of them. There's a jewel here. Jewel here. If you want to go for an extra defensive layer, you can take this out and put a Glorious Vanity Jewel in and then do it from here. That'll give you a little bit more chaos res for degen. It's totally up to you. It would probably help a little bit. And then you want to get a Transcendent Mind. This thing will juice up your damage quite a lot. I'm not sure how much int's in the area, but just make sure that it only uses intelligence nodes that are not allocated, I don't think. So just beware of that. So that's why we kind of go around over here to get up there. And then for the skill tree itself, since we're already here, we take the Cultist Ascendancy. So I'll just go over the Ascendancy first. I believe I came down here first, so you get reduced Chaos Res. And then the Wither thing with Chaos Res and more Chaos damage, because by the time you get this, you're getting ready to transition into Death's Oath. And then here, for Extra Curse, you won't be able to run Extra Curse for a while until you get in Presence. And that will allow you to run your second curse, since Despair won't cost anything. And this will help with your clear speed. And once you get to here, you can probably switch over to Death's Oath at that point. And then it'll get really smooth for a while until you'll probably be fine in red map or yellow maps until you get to red maps. And then once you do your Uber Lab, you want this one as well. It gives you more curse effect. Enemies don't do as much damage. You can do an additional curse. That one's not like important right away, because if you don't have the amulet, you can't do an additional curse anyway. So that's for the Ascendancy. And then the way we path, I just mainly rushed life nodes first. So I kind of just pathed up through here and grabbed this right here. And then I went and grabbed this, and then went down through here, grabbed all that life, grabbed this life, and then just kind of like pathed around and got all the life. One of these life nodes I got, well, I thought I had 50 to life, but I guess I unallocated it for some reason. But you can get 50 life as well. Maybe if I go for 98, I'll do that. If you're feeling like you're really squishy, you can get Imbalanced Guard for a bit. I was using this for quite a while until you get more armor. But with the armor changes, this isn't as good as it used to be. Get aura nodes, because we're going to need a little bit of less reserve, plus aura effect actually affects your damage for Death's Oath. But we only get that one wheel. And then we get damage over time here. If you... I thought I spec'd out of this, but... once you get enough damage, you can spec out of the damage over time multiplier if you killed recently into something else. It's actually good to know that I have that, because I'm going to remove it. And that means I only need one more level to get my other jewel. And then we can move up here, and once you get your second lab done, I would recommend getting 1 to Chaos Damage over multiplier per 4 Chaos Res, because you're going to get pretty good positive Chaos Res, and this will actually help your Essence Drain and Contagion by quite a lot. So I would recommend getting that, and then Heart of Darkness for some Chaos penetration, and then just more Chaos damage. So we penetrate quite a bit with this character, with the Wither stacks and the big Despair curse. And I think that's pretty much it. I'll leave a Path of Building down below if you guys want the tree. Just Path of Building is weird with cluster jewels though, so it might not show them all. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my build. I love this build. It's just so much fun for mapping. This is the perfect league for it. And yeah, hopefully you guys liked my video. I don't know what I've done for Pantheon. I mainly just grabbed the flask one, but just pick whatever you need. I always forget about Pantheons. But yeah, something that gives like physical damage reduction is pretty good as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my build. If you guys enjoyed the video, please hit the like and subscribe button. It'll help the channel out a lot. And I'll see you guys on my next video for some more farming stuff. Have a great day.